There, that's a good alarm. Those are good alarms. Those are alarms you like to see, you know, when the farms can't store all of the food that they harvest from the last time. Granted, yeah, this means they're wasting the food, but it is at least a good alarm. Hello, everybody. This is Frogman. Welcome back to Captain of Industry. Our oil ship just took off to go get a little bit of oil, and we have done a little bit of just kind of goofing around in between episodes. Not a whole lot. I've been kind of sitting here just planning and understanding things. So I did go ahead and complete the rest of this for now, because we are definitely going to need that much copper eventually. And by that much copper, I'm going to need that we're going to mean that we're going to have to kind of understand how the progression of the science works. So we're going to start having to build for more and more and more and more science. So we'll talk about that in just a second, but I was going to say I'm kind of already starting to lay out a few things. We've got a couple of conveyors sitting up on the side of our road here, running all the way to the end, and I'm going to bring in the rubber and drop it in along just this one line here. So the thing is about this game, compared to many other video games that have you do, well, crafting and automation, is the fact that the later... Well, let me put it like this. There are things that you're only going to ever use once in the game. To be fair, to be able to build any more parts for anything, period, rubber is the only thing we're ever going to need for one thing. Rubber is all we're ever going to need for one thing. Rubber being, if you look at it in here, consumption is this. That's it. That's all. It's made all of those across here. Now, granted, there's going to be some more consumption as far as other things go. But as far as rubber goes, it's used in belts, and it's used in circuits. So we're going to leave it down here, and we're going to start building our, shall I say, factory this direction from here. So we're going to start with this being our basic everyday, well, this is oil, so that we have room enough for oil so that we can do some things. Wood will need to go on somewhere. Likely, I'm probably just going to stack a whole bunch of these down here in a corner somewhere once we get there. But essentially what we need to do is we need to start mass producing the basic baby parts for things. Now, the reason why I'm going to say that is if we go into our science, one of the things that is interesting, and I want to point it out here if we start here, this research lab, it should be able to tell us what's going on. So 12 here, we can look at these over here. These research labs eat 6 science per minute to produce 6.2 science, plus if we wanted to, recyclables, which I theoretically probably should be going after that. Each one of those can do that, and they can make that much science. Now, I think if I am careful, I can convince this thing to tell me, but let me see. I need to go on into here, and if we go to the next lab, which is going to be the next mess that we're going to be playing with, we're going to need 12 of those to turn it into 12 of these. But I think if I recall correctly, the numbers are interesting because of the fact that these will then use, I think it's like it goes like four labs down to 3, I think, then down to 2, and then down to 1. And by 1, I mean as what we're having with the beginning initial of, say, we're making 24 or so many of these here. The numbers that you are going to increasingly put into science, if you want to run the same amount of labs, you're going to have to put a considerable amount more materials into it. And for that very reason, if you go down here, well, that very issue, 15,000 parts, 5,000 parts, 13,000 parts, 14,000 parts. We go into the next tier where we're at. These guys, for the research lab number 2, we're going to start seeing stuff in the thousands. So it's going to take a little longer to make science if you want to, well, be slow about it. So by being slow about it, that means I need to ramp up the production of the stuff that this needs in order to be able to do that, keeping in mind, that we also need to maintain maintenance. So we need to get into doing the first 2 major things, which are going to be mass producing, or at least mass producing, starting assembly lines for mass production of the basic electronics and the mechanical parts. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing here. So we've got our belts set up, ready to go. I want to get all of that kind of sorted because, well, then once we have the basic parts, we can then put them on, say, the other side of the bus over here, so we can feed, well, basic parts. We can have parts on one side of this bus and, well, raw materials on this side of this bus, which means we can then use certain areas over here, like, say, this line, this goofiness right here is going to go away here fairly soon, and that's going to go away. We'll have room on both sides of this alleyway to build. This whole side right here is going to be utilized in case we need to do more stuff for the housing. So there's a lot of things that will be coming up that we'll be able to add for the houses that we don't currently have access to in here. As we unlock, we'll be able to get more unity, more neat things out of them. And like I said, as because we're able to, kind of have too much food at this point in time, I've turned on the food consumption increase by 20% so that we can gain an extra unity point at this point so that we can do a few things. At least nothing else, I want to be able to build stuff very quickly. So today's goal is, I know we're going to take a kind of a silly step backwards, but today's goal is I want to dump about, I don't know, let me see. 1, 2, copy, please. Copy. Can I copy? Thank you. Okay, I don't know what was going on there. Nice. I want to do about, like, say, right here on the edge, 2 off the end of here, because the only things that are going to eat the rubber are going to be electronics. So we do this, hold shift, boink, and boink, and boink, and boink, and we'll stop there. I'm not going to build all those, but this is going to be able to give us a spacing idea for what's going to happen. Because, excuse me, frog in throat. I know, silly, kind of funny. After this, we're going to start being able to make different types of electronics. So I want to at least making sure that we're mass producing as many of these electronics as we can, because they are very, very important for this process. As we wander our way down through the line here, these are going to be very, very important, especially for this basic science or this basic maintenance, because every single one of these belts, somewhere in here they'll show you how to do it. I'm not smart enough to find it right now. Every single one of those belts takes basic maintenance. Every single one of these pipes takes basic maintenance. A few of these machines in here take basic maintenance. To be fair, we can probably look at our machine going on right here as far as what is currently taking top consumers of basic maintenance 1. Other is all of the other things that you don't normally see. So we've got an oil rig, all of the pickups, small excavators, sorting plants, air separators, oxygen furnaces, research labs, assemblies, copper electrolysis. 65% of what we're burning on maintenance right now, i.e. whatever this number is here, consumption, max consumption has been, max at most has been around 330, so like 330, 340 maintenance. Max is what we're consuming right now. This number is going to go up into the thousands, probably, by the time we get anywhere good. And we haven't even started messing with trains yet, and we haven't even started messing with the big trucks yet, and we haven't started trying to get across this entire area. We're just using a single tiny little spot right now. So I'm going to start by lining out things like kind of the way that I would either do it in, I'm going to say either Satisfactory or Factorio. We're just going to line out a line of things, tie them to a belt, and then just kind of let them work. I'm not going to try to balance anything. I'm not going to try to go for any major amount of production, but I am going to say that we're going to at least turn on, say, the first 4 here. Hopefully we have enough people for that so that we can then shut these off and feed it into here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to understand that after this, there's another layer of electronics, which we haven't seen yet, that I'm probably going to try to stab in that corner. But this next layer of electronics is actually coming up here fairly shortly. And these right here are going to require parts for this stuff and copper. So I'm going to leave a line probably or 2 right here behind here, and then we'll build the next thing, which is going to be mechanical parts, because mechanical parts are going to be the only major use for steel for us right off the bat. So we're going to be doing this recipe, but if you look here, mechanical parts are going to go towards maintenance, vehicle parts, lab equipment, which we're going to have to make a bunch of lab equipment, and a whole lot of other things. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to say we're going to be... I don't want all the things on the front. I guess I can leave them there. I mean, I don't know why you would take it off, and for that matter, I can put one of these over here. Unfortunately, there's gonna be starting to be a lot of ghosts be built on this world. So if that's triggering to you, I am very sorry. And again, we're still, in my opinion, starter base mode for this mess. So let's go ahead and knock these out, get this stuff down, so we can actually produce a reasonable amount of, construction parts, this kind of stuff. And I mean reasonable, meaning I want at least to make, I don't know, probably 4 of these and 4 of those and 2 of those or whatever. We're going to see how this all works. If we have the room, we can do it. If not, I literally want to be using everything we're making right now to be able to make stuff so that when I want to build something, it's ready to go. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to actually build a quick model. So just get rid of all of this so that I know I can do that many across and go away. You are going to need to get to that belt right here. Let's grab this belt, and I think I can do the deal. Where is the deal? We need one of the little flat connectors. And I kind of want it so that if at all possible, I want to be able to drive under some of this stuff, just in case. That's kind of one of those weird little things I want to make sure we can do. So and we're going to be running blue belts on just about everything, I suppose, at this point, because why the heck not? All right, so rubber, and then the one above it. And I want to make these so that they're reasonably just copy and or pastable. So click. And then you stop. I'm going to grab you. Did you go through? Okay, then you go all the way down here. And probably going to have to cut some of this off, but that's fine. We'll do that. Cool. Flat lift. Rotate into... What are you doing down? All the way down. Thank you. So we're going to grab those about right there. Flip it till it connects. And then do the same thing. Flip it. Did you connect? Sometimes working in 3D can be a little pain in the tail. Do it correctly. Click. Then go. There you go. There we go. All right, cool. So then those will go that direction. That's perfectly fine. I like it. That's good. Control C this, and I should be able to grab those and then just go boop. That'll work. Nice. Okay. Hold shift and place a bunch of ghosts down. Now I realize this is probably barely enough. So if we had, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 times 24. That's not too terrible. Hopefully we don't ever need that many, but we'll go from there at that point. The other thing I'm going to do is, while we're here, I want to, like I said, at least, well, I guess while we're working, we can go ahead and have it do its stuff. Unpause. No, unpause. You unpause. You unpause. You unpause. You unpause. I did put a belt down there. Good. So those will come all the way around and get built. Do that one. And then you. And to the fourth, so there and there, and then all of this can get unpaused while we work on the rest of it. Go. Cool. And then put it on slow and let them build. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to drag... Well, I don't even think we've got enough to be able to make that work. We should be able to run this, though. Let's do... I want to at least get rid of all of those. I should have not done that. Get rid of that. Thank you. All right, so flat conveyors. We're going to run those all the way to the end this direction, and then I'm going to just jump them up on top of this, so there's going to be another bus right there. So, boop. All right, so then those will start pulling in parts, and I have no idea if we're going to have enough of this to do anything, but we're going to find out. How much rubber is that going to take to keep those happy? Not terribly too much more than what I think we're making right now. So we're making 48, and these are going to be 24. So we're good for that for the minute. At least for right now. Again, this is just in case. And we can always, like I left plenty of room right here, I can definitely double up on this quite a bit. And there's going to be better recipes that we're going to get into for the rubber as it is anyway. So we should be good there. They're all stocked up. Now, the thing is we're going to need to have access to those for the maintenance for the time being, because I want to shut these down. Because we are going to run out of people fairly slowly. So that's why I'm leaving this back section over here open. I think for now what we'll do is we'll remove you. Okay, and then I am going to put one of these over here. Actually, give me a big one. I was going to say we could do a regular deal. Unit storage. We'll put a unit storage right here, right on the end, so that we can at least... That didn't work. Flip view, please. Actually, no, that's fine. I do want to do that. Let me pick that up, move it. They should be able to drive in there and get that, maybe. Because I want to utilize... Well, if nothing else, I can just delete that. That's fine. Let's just go with 10. 10 at what the numbers we're talking about should be reasonably good for now. And if we have to, well, if we have to, as we go along, we're going to get better assemblers still that are going to work a lot better. So let's do this. And then I'm going to grab you, route you into there, and then you're going to route up onto the new bus, which I'm just going to grab that. Okay. Click that. And then go up here. Now, granted, there's not going to be a whole lot of things that are going to need this, but we're going to play the same old game we always have. We're just going to pretend that the stuff's eventually going to get used up on the belt. Come on. So I'm going to go to about right there. I think that should be sufficient. Sure, that's fine. Just stop right there. Okay, nice. So then what I want to do here, we're going to go ahead and unpause all of this. That, and the belt. And once they build all those... Now, again, this is one of those problems. We're going to be looking at this as, you know, just how are we going to be able to expand this later on if we need to. So I want to leave at least, like, say, a decent amount of space between these lines. So I think we'll do something like this. 1, 2. Well, I should be like 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2. It needs to be about 1, 2, 3 spaces in case. We'll do that. And then the next row of stuff... probably about right here. And then the next row of stuff is going to be mechanical parts right there. The reason why I'm doing that is because the circuits that we're going to be looking at here when we're down here on this line, these electronics too, are going to require PCBs. PCBs are going to be made in assemblies using the electronics, silicon, poly, and a PCB. Well, the PCB is made with glass, plastic, and copper. It's going to take 2 rows of stuff to make the next bit of electronics. So we're going to make electronics 1 and electronics 2 in this main area, and then the next portion will be what we need as far as this goes. So yeah, actually I need to scoot you guys up a little bit more. You need to move up like here. You need to move, we have like 4 spaces there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this next piece of equipment is actually going to need 3 items. So let's move that up even further. There you go there. And then the next item is going to need 3 items, so we're just going to do 5 spaces. Hopefully we have enough room. 5 spaces. And then this, which is going to be... I think we'll do 4 spaces on this. So this row right here is going to be our mechanical parts, or these guys. This stuff. So I think, you know, I say we just standardize it 5 wide. Perfect. Good. And again, I want at least 4 of these running for right now. Probably going to need more than that, given the amount of stuff that's going to go into our science. What are we waiting on, fellas? Oh, that's because I used those belts. Right. Well, that's going to take a couple of minutes. That's nice of them. Thank you very much. All right, on to the next part then, which is going to be, in order to keep these working, we're going to need 48. 48 can be a regular single belt, though, and that's fine. You come here. And I need you to go there and then turn this direction for now. Cool. And then we need a... Can I just do that with that one? That one should be the right size, right? Control C, U. And if I just flip it? That's one thing I don't care for. This has already been set up to work one particular direction, so you have to flip it in here. But that works. Okay, Control C, and then we can just copy those down. Same deal here. Over there. Okay, cool. I mean, I suppose they can drive down this line for... Whoa, this line for now. There's nothing wrong with it. There's not going to be a whole lot in this particular area right here, I don't feel. We'll probably have stuff right here, but yeah, I suppose they can drive around there. Will it do the same exact thing with that mess? I think. Yeah, I like that idea. And then those are going to make a whole lot of parts. Where's my copper? Oh. Priority 1, please. So we can just leave this out here for right now. Okay. Well, I suppose I don't need to be doing this anymore. You guys can empty this. And you can empty this. Just grab all the things and have them empty it. And then we can set these to keep full for now. Because maintenance is going to be one of the first things that gets built in this line up here. We're going to have about 3 slots for maintenance in here, probably. It's going to be one of the next things we build that's going to be of a major importance, because we're going to need to be able to get to things. Man, I really made a mess out of that, didn't I? Alright, well. What are we short? We are short yellow, because I'm doing yellow. Why don't you pause said belt and give us some unity. Go. I can't wait to double down on all of these. There, now we can start putting copper on the bus. Lovely. Cool. Now they're going to start pulling that stuff in. So now we actually don't necessarily need any of this over here. They can finish just cleaning those up and get that stuffed in there. Granted, yes, they're going to be dragging this over here. Like I said, this is going to get moved over here fairly soon. We got all that ready to go. I'm going to let my boxes fill up a little bit, I think. I mean, these take what? Those are the red ones? All right, why don't you do this very smartly then? And that's saying something. Click. Click, click, click. Those should be the normal stuff, so that's like, what, yellow? And I need you to unpause. And then click, 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 click. I'm being slow on this. I don't necessarily need to be this slow. I could just have Unity deliver it, but hey, we're having fun, as always. Oh, I like that so much. Make me the electronics, my friends. Make me the electronics. Beautiful. There they go, running down. Go ahead and make those two. I mean, it is what it is. We just ran out of what we had, probably. Why don't you stop on this? So then we need to do a belt across. We're going to do the exact same thing we did with those. So we start here, run over. And then, like, I guess it's right where. Give me a thing. Cool. Yes, and then we're just going to run a belt across from there. Stop them from driving through all of our little maintenance area here. Because trucks driving through the mall is annoying. I might end up get really silly and like put barriers up on this edge just to keep them out of it once they get to that point, so that they'll have to drive this way and around. And I do not believe that oil is going to forever stay here either. Oil may end up moved out here once we get a little bit more track or more boat to play with. We'll see, because we're gonna have to really crank on oil eventually. So how are we doing on those? Can you build? No, cannot build. Can I deconstruct a couple of you guys? Yes, you and you can go. And all of this can go. And that can go. And so can this. And that. And you are going to need to be broken off of one of these lines over here. Which I think I can do... Can I just do like that? No. Missed it completely. Don't care, that's fine. Produce. Produce. We need to make sure we're keeping those at least flowing in so that they can keep this running. You can just get removed. I said delete. And you can get emptied and deleted. I believe they probably put those in here, but that's fine. What we'll end up doing is I'll end up taking another one of these and dumping it like right in here somewhere so that it can just pour out of here into that mess. Okay, we have this built. Nice. Can I start unpausing this? All right, cool. So we now should have, how much does it take to make these things? 40. All right, we're going to let that roll for a second. We can do you and you. Keeping a weather eye on my fellers doing their work. Nice. All right, so then we can empty this. Let them finish up. Actually, I don't want to empty that. I need that for the other thing. Hang on a second. I'm stupid. 1 second. No, we need that full, but we are going to just bulldoze that. I guess I can just bulldoze that and that and that. And sure. We have these kept set to cap fill. Nice. And then we'll just let it kind of fill up as it needs to. But those should now transfer over to here. This is going to do the exact same thing we just got done doing. Where did that thing go? Did I remove it? Control C on you. You come over to here. You're going to go under that line. Except we're going to flip you. And do the exact same thing. Pretending that eventually we're going to use everything that's on the belt regardless of whether it's there or not. Done. Done. I click twice. Go. Okay. Cool. I know it's looking like a lot of stuff floating along the lines, but it'll get better, I promise. Especially once we move all of this like up here somewhere. So we have 205 of those. Go ahead and hit that one. Alrighty then. Now we're like double what we were doing a little bit ago, which means we should now be able to do a fair amount of work. The next thing I want to do before I go any further with this, now that I've spoken about it, is maintenance. So looking at the things that go on down the line here, if we dig into the science, there's going to be a lot of just random stuff that we're going to be building, and we're going to be building them elsewhere. So the next major technology I believe that's going to be coming in should be, I don't think it's those. The next major thing, let me see if I can find it, is going to be glass. Glass is going to get put on the bus, but it's going to get put on the bus in a different fashion from how we're doing things. We're also going to be getting into this and settlement recycling. That's the other thing I need to get into, is recycling fairly soon. But the next major thing, like I said, probably going to be plastic and probably going to be electronics too. So those are going to be the next big things we will be putting in that area, or the bus as I would call it. These, I believe, are still... Okay, so those are the next major ugliness. And our next major construction 4, is way the heck up there. Construction 4, if I recall correctly, is going to be... right, those circuits. So we're going to need mechanical parts, which mechanical parts is something we're just going to have to make a lot of regardless. And we're going to need electronics too to get to the next level of stuff. So, yeah. Not quite sure how much is actually going to be on here, and I'm really going to hope that this actually all fits without having to build too much of it, but I do foresee the mechanical parts needing to be clear the heck over here by the time we're done with all of this. But what I do want to do, since we already know that maintenance 1 and 2 should be covered by what's going to be right here, we're going to build in maintenance this one. I'm going to go ahead and say, right, let me see. Everybody needs mechanical parts and electronics. Well, they all need mechanical parts. I'm going to say we're going to build in maintenance just to save on belting right now over here. Okay. And we'll go boop. Go ahead and unpause both of those. Unpause that and that and that. And we're going to start with 2 of them, but I'm going to leave room for like probably 3 or 4. So that when the next layer, the next couple of maintenances, we should be able to put at least like 2 or 3, 4 more right here, which will be fine with me. Nice. That'll do. Cool. And I understand there's a belt right there. We're not going to use it. Not enough maintenance 1. Why? Oh, I know why. Make maintenance, please. You're doing a good job. I have 2 things that I accidentally turned on. Stop it. All right, let's see. We need to go ahead and drag down. You are in the incorrect direction, aren't you? No, you look fine. Why are you not outputting? They're not outputting because there's no reason for them to output. So we'll go ahead and build the electronics in on the back side, and then we'll build the other stuff on the front side. So flat lift here. Might leave it up in the air, but nah. Leave enough space. Well, I guess we don't need to do that, do we? Yes, I know. Bang. Let's put it right there. See how much we hate it. Okay, and then the mechanical parts are going to go here in the fashion that they need to be in order to be able to move something out from underneath of it. So flip. Give me a copy. I need a copy of that, please. Hey, copy. Holy cow. there. There. For now. I'm not going to hook up the rest of them because we don't necessarily need it. And I want to make sure that we can output right here on these front sides because we're going to need to be able to remove the recycling that we're going to be getting here pretty soon. Matter of fact, if we have time here in a minute, that's what we're going to start setting up as well. So this, that, and let those parts flow. And then you get unpaused. We're making 40 stuff. All right, a little bit later, it looks like we've got everything accomplished and caught up. Good, so we've got a lot of shorthand laying around and a lot of other little things. There will be, again, like I said, there will be more maintenance coming up. We will likely do a considerable amount of this maintenance over the time that we need to do things. The last thing I want to do while I'm thinking of it, while we've got everything going, now that I don't need this, you can just get paused. Think. That didn't hurt anything too terribly bad. Good deal. Go ahead, delete you. I'm going to leave all of this sitting here because it's going to take care of our vehicle parts, even though the next step is actually to, well, upgrade our vehicles, which we're going to be doing probably very soon, next time at least. So there we go. We've got some shorthand ideas, like I said. This is something I can't do right now, so we're just going to leave it as an electronics. This is, again, leaving it as electronics, but we should be able to make a considerable amount of electronics, too, once we get to that point. And I should have enough room under here to be able to deliver the parts that those are going to need once the time comes. So I think the final thing that I want to do while we're sitting here is... well, that should all be hooked up. Those are all ready to go. The only thing I think I really care about right now is doing the big ouch that is recycling, since we have it open. So I'm going to get rid of those, since they're parts. The last thing I'm going to do while we're sitting here is recycling. And the reason why we're doing this here is because these are going to be the first major outputs for recycling parts that we're going to need. Well, we're going to be able to convert from. So we're going to grab us a U-shaped conveyor, and I'm going to go ahead and do the blue one for now. I'm going to come off, under, and down all the way to the end here. Come on. And I think, let me back it up about there. Stop right there for now. Thank you. And I need a... We could actually sort those in here, huh? No, I think we're going to end up doing that over here for the short term. Let's go ahead and throw this down. So we need what we're going to need a loose storage. I'm going to grab a small loose storage, place it within reach of the edge of this area here and connect it. And then we're going to go ahead and get the recycle center, or I think it's waste processing center, waste sorting plant. Yes, this one. Waste sorting plant. How many people do we have? We have 40. I think that's enough. I think. It's been a while. It has definitely been a while. I know that is a song, and I'm not singing it right now. Anyhow, yeah, I think what we'll do, I might even jump that over and just try to get it in here first. Can we... because that line of steel is going to go away. Actually, that line of steel can go away. Let's get rid of this really quickly before we do anything else. Clean up that on aisle 4, please. I know there's a lot of crap that you guys are going to have to deal with and haul off. And I'm going to have to put a whole bunch of things in storage later. Alright, so that means I should be able to place this waste sorting plant in here. Now, what I'll usually do with waste sorting plant, at least right off the bat, for the beginning point in time, let's find us a little spot to build here very quickly. These are pretty simple, pretty easy. The only thing I think I'm going to do right off instead of normally is, well, I'll put a compactor in here to make this run, but I think for right now, since we're going to be just doing basic stuff off of those, plus whatever will be coming off of the labs, is we'll just go ahead and plug you in there, so that you'll just direct insert straight into it. You will be asking for all of the recyclables, please, which I think we have some, maybe, I don't know. I don't remember. I've been out to the world to look for them recently. And then what this is going to output is this is going to output iron scrap, aluminum scrap, broken glass, copper scrap, and gold scrap. So there's now 5 things that this is going to output. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to space 5 of these about like so. Rotate you. 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're recycling aluminum now. That's very interesting. Okay. And then we're going to end up doing a, let's see, loose converter, loose U-shape sorter. And I want a U-shape sorter there, 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 and then the end doesn't really matter. So the first thing we're going to tell this thing is the product to be filtered is going to be iron scrap, and then copper scrap, and then I think glass is the next one that should show up, which we're not going to have yet. So we're just going to leave them alone. And sure, we're going to bring this out, run it up to there, in, doot, doot. I know this is getting kind of expensive, but pretty soon we're going to be making lots and lots and lots of parts. That absolutely did not work. Back up one there. Come on. Keep the square. Seriously. Go like that. Thank you very much. All right. So then again, this is going to be iron scrap, which should be right there. This is going to be copper scrap. This is going to be nothing. This, can I just do this to there, to there, to there? Okay. That's going to look a little awkward. That's fine. I don't really care at this point. If anything else, I can just pull this forward, which might not be a dumb idea because then I can actually feed it through both sides. And then we can do this. Get things in there as quick as possible. Nice. So you should be keep full, and then these are going to all be set to keep empty for now, and then we won't worry about the rest of it. And we're going to copy that and drop it in. I want to keep it kind of close, but not close. So we'll put it right. I understand that's just going to be a drive across the road for that particular container. But I think I like it maybe right about against that pipe right there. Go. That's not what I wanted. This is where that is where the undo button needs to happen, because none of that worked. Because I accidentally slipped. That's why you copy, not cut, when you move things from point A to point B. Go. Unpause. Build. Alrighty, with all of that fun stuff said and done, we now have a facility that will be able to do a little bit of fun for us. Essentially what happens here is this will take the recyclables that we have that we're going to be getting from various processes, and it will then dump it out onto a system that will sort through, pull out the usable scrap, put it in these containers here, which we want to make sure that these are set to keep empty. And then what the trucks will do is they will gather up the parts from these and deliver them to the locations like this one, where we're going to attempt to try to use up the scrap before we use up any of the ores. So essentially what we're doing is we're going to be recycling copper and iron scrap into steel and copper. And there's a reason for this, mainly because you don't end up with a lot of slag and you don't end up with a lot of pollution. So it's definitely a way of trying to knock down on the pollution for what you're doing for both of these processes. Later on, when we get the next layer of stuff, which is going to be glass and all the other fun things, so aluminum, broken glass, gold scrap, those other things will definitely help to be able to produce a reasonable amount of stuff after that. But in order to make it work, we have to change the recipe in here. And that recipe here. When they run, that will spit out 18 scrap that can be pretty much whatever it's going to be as far as stuff. And the scrap is going to be based off of what you're inputting into the thing. So here what we're going to see is we're going to see copper scrap and we're going to see iron scrap, because that's what goes in to this stuff, which is pretty cool. And as we do those, that'll, like I said, that'll get dumped in there. I theoretically could just run a belt across the street over here and dump it into that, but I think we'll let the trucks worry about it. The other thing we can also do is here. We can turn these on, and they'll do the same thing. So now that we have that up and running, they probably pulled a bunch of recyclables out of them anyway. It's fine. And I believe in here, in either sooner or later, we're going to get some interesting work as far as doing stuff here. Can I kick that on and not run out of maintenance? Cool. Let's go ahead, shut these guys down to do normal everyday work. I'm going to, well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade all of these to the next layer, which should be just yellow and yellow and yellow, and turn this on, because I have a whole lot more building to do. We're not done with this. This is going to be the beginnings of how this is all going to go. I'm going to be moving most of this in here fairly soon too. So I think for now that has been enough goofing around. I wanted to do a kind of ability, just kind of wander around episode and start to get this system functioning and working, because we can now start expanding, and I'm going to try to do it as an organized process as possible in my head, at least for the moment. Again, if we do need more of all of this stuff, we'll just rip it out and move it down as we see fit. And we are going to have to do that depending on how we end up working with some of this stuff, as well as what's working with the oil, as well as what's going to be happening with our next batch of, well, research. So once we get into this next research, we're going to have all kinds of stuff like housing decorations, large storages, new things to make people happy, recycling edicts, settlement recycling, more fuel processing, reforming and cracking, all the kind of fun things that we're going to get into. Plus, one of my favorite things, thermal desalination. So, thanks you so much for watching. Bye. I know it's kind of empty, but it'll grow. It will grow. It's already growing. Good Lord.